Hi everyone, in this video we are going to look at a slightly more advanced question. There are two questions in the chapter of average. Okay, so previously we've talked about in average, okay, the triangular identity we call a number bond and part whole number bond that involves a multiplicative relationship between the total, the average, as well as the number of data. Okay, I've written this down on the previous pages, page 120, 119 as well. Okay, you see similar ideas. Okay, so like the number bond over here. Okay, so likewise here I'm using the same triangular identity, which previously we discussed that if you can understand the concept of average well and remember this triangular relationship well, you will likely be able to solve all the questions in this chapter. Okay, so at this page here on page 121 is a little bit level up, level 2. And this part here is the key. You are finding a missing number. So it's not about the total, it's not about the average, it's not about the number of data now, it's about a missing number in, say, for example, in question 1a, having a set of data of four numbers. Okay, we have four numbers here. This is the set of data. Cards 1, 2, 3, 4. There are four cards here. You are given the number of data. Okay, so for the next few questions, I'm going to write here as a number bond. So I have total in my raised steps. I have total, average, and number of data. We can write it as a number bond. I think that's pretty helpful. Okay, so I have total, average, and number of data. In this case, average is given, the number of data is given. This is 8, this is 4, but the question is not asking you for the number of the total, is not asking you for that, it's asking you for, look, there's a missing identity here. What is this missing card here? Okay, so that's the one that we are looking at. Now, to solve this question, there are two main methods. At this point, I will ask you to do a quick recap. I'm going to show you the slide, okay, to recall on the concept of finding averages. So previously, we actually have discussed this, the idea of average, finding average by using over here, total divided by the number of data. So that's the primary way we used to understand in the number bond concept, the triangular relationship. So I find average by using the total divided by the number of data. And then I shared with you previously about how we can share out the chocolate coins, the gold coins in the previous video. And also talked about, okay, I can cut out the tails, what we call actually sharing the difference. That's what it is about. Okay, so if you need to look at the examples, you pause this video here, take a look at that, the three ideas here. Actually, they mean the same thing. You want to get to an average, you have to get them divide them into the total into equal amounts. So be it you put them together, then divide, or you look at the difference and share out the difference. Okay, so back to the question that we're looking at. I'm going to use the two methods to solve this question. Depending on your number sense, one method might be easier than the other. Okay, I'm going to use the first method that is quite direct using the total. So I have the average here given to me. Okay, so the most important part about these questions is to be able to identify what's given and what's not given and what we need to find. So over here this is total, and that's the average, and it has the number of data. So the average is given, so you got to be careful with what you're reading. Okay, so here the average of the four numbers is 8. So to find this missing identity, this missing card, I can actually find the total first. So the total is the average here, 8 times the number of data, that's 4 numbers. Okay, that's 32. So by right, the total should be 32. I've got 3 numbers here, so if I add up the 3 numbers, the 3 number cards, I'm actually 7 plus 8 plus 4, that gives me 19. Okay, so to find the missing number, in the fourth card, I can just take the total here that I find from the first step and minus the sum of the 3 numbers. That will give me 13. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, so that's the first method. If I use the total, okay, I find the total, and then I just minus out the 3 cards and I'll get the missing number. Okay, so that's the first method. Now, moving on to the next method, I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use the green pen to help to draw the second method about sharing out the difference. Okay, so if you look at this question again, okay, the average is given at 8. So I actually look at this, I have one number that's already 8, which is the average. So let's say if I have a bar model of the 3 or the 4 cards, okay, so 8 is here, this is the average. Okay, oops, let me draw it straighter. Okay, so this is already the average, and one number is already there, that's 8. Okay, but then the first card, the first number is shorter by 1, is missing by 1. So it needs a plus 1 in a way. Someone's need to give him 1. Okay, and for the third card here, it needs an extra 4. Okay, so it says here's missing out. Okay, here's missing out. Okay, maybe I should use this color, it's a bit confusing. Okay, let me use the red one. So here's missing out 1. Okay, he's missing out 1, and she's missing this. The fourth card is missing out 4. That means that the fourth card here is actually able to give extra, like fills in the gap here. So if I put this back here and then put this back here, needs 4. Okay, so that's 4, and this 1, this 8. That means this fourth card is able to give away 4 and then give away 1 to make everybody else even. So actually the missing number, if I use this method, suppose the number is 8. To get to 8, it actually gave out the extras to help the others who are not average become average. Okay, so in other words, I'm just adding in what they need, and that makes him 13. Yeah, okay, so this is the other method. Take a look at this. I hope it makes sense to you. Okay, if you're struggling with understanding the idea of evening out, okay, you might want to stick to that step-by-step method of finding total first, then subtracting the three other cards to get to the answer. Now, sometimes either method is a preference, okay, and either method gets you to the answer faster. Okay, like for example, if I were to say if I'm going to choose a method for the decimal one here, I think evening out might be a bit challenging. Okay, I'm dealing with decimals here. Okay, so if I have to do plus and minus or sharing out, that number sense may be even more challenging. So I might just want to stick with the idea of using finding total first. Okay, so this is the question that is B is similar to A, just that is in decimals. So I'll probably just do the same as A as the first method here, which is I find the total first, which is using the four numbers, the average here, 10.6 times 4 to get me the total first. And then I add up the remaining numbers, or I can just go straight away to get to the missing number. That is this total, subtract by the sum of, this is a bracket here. Pardon my handwriting, it's a bit hard to write on screen. Okay, bracket 6.6 plus 8.5 plus 11.1. Okay, then I'll get the answer, missing number. So maybe this idea of step by step is gonna be easier than sharing out. Okay, so however, if you look at the next two questions, like this one here, like B, where the average is 90, is pretty close to the numbers here. If I do addition, subtraction, okay, or multiplication, division here, may take a little bit more effort. If I have a good number sense, sharing, evening out, sharing the difference might get me to the answer faster. Okay, so if you are interested, check out the next video. I'll be working on page 122, the questions in two methods. Okay, but if you are satisfied with that method of using finding total first, subtracting the sum of the rest of the numbers, that's fine too. Okay, so my advice to you, do what you're confident with, work through step by step. Okay.